Commander John Russell rubbed his tired eyes as the alien representatives continued their debate. The large round table of the Centauri Accords was surrounded by beings from 23 different worlds. Russell sat quietly in his blue Earth uniform, listening to the translation through his earpiece. Humans simply lack the experience to manage significant resources in the Orion Arm, said the tall, green-skinned representative from Nexus Prime. Their colonies are barely 50 years old. Russell kept his face calm, but inside he felt the familiar burn of frustration. For 10 years, he had attended these meetings. For 10 years, humans had been treated like children at the adults' table. The Earth delegation should understand their position, added Ambassador Skatali of the Veldorian Empire. His purple skin wrinkled around his 6 eyes as he spoke. Many species waited centuries before receiving mining rights in disputed territories. Humans should be grateful for the privilege of participation in these discussions at all. The chamber fell silent. Other representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Everyone knew the Veldorians had received their rights after only 40 years of space travel, less time than humans had been waiting. Russell looked at his team. Colonel Maria Patil gave him a small nod. Dr. Ben Wright, their science advisor, closed his data tablet slowly. They had discussed this possibility many times. Without saying a word, Russell stood up. He removed his translation device and placed it carefully on the table. Then he simply turned and walked toward the exit. Commander Russell, these proceedings are not finished, called out the Galactic Council moderator, her tentacles waving in confusion. Russell didn't stop or look back. Behind him, the entire human delegation, 12 men and women representing Earth and its colonies, stood in unison. They all removed their translation devices and followed their leader out of the grand chamber. As the doors closed behind them, the alien delegates erupted in surprised chatter. Just another human display of emotion, scoffed Ambassador Skatali. They will return when they realize how much they need our approval. Back on the Earth ship Horizon, Admiral Diane Foster received Russell's message with a grim smile. She had been waiting for this day. They finally pushed too far, she asked, looking at Russell's tired face on the screen. Yes, Admiral. The Veldorians suggested we should be grateful just to be at the table. I initiated departure protocol. Admiral Foster nodded. Good. The Council has mistaken our patience for weakness. That ends today. She pressed a button on her command chair. All Earth vessels, this is Admiral Foster. Implement Operation Homeward. I repeat, Operation Homeward is now active. Across the galaxy, human captains received the coded message. Ships that had been strategically positioned for years began to move. Foster turned back to the screen. Return to Earth, Commander. The next phase begins now. What about our trade outposts? The scientific missions? Russell asked. Already being quietly evacuated. In 3 months, there won't be a single human outside our solar system, Foster replied. While they've been treating us like children, we've been preparing. She walked to the large window of her office, looking out at the stars. Behind her desk, hidden from all visitors, was a holographic display showing technologies the aliens never suspected humans possessed. Stealth systems, advanced weapons, faster-than-light drives far superior to anything the Council races used. For 50 years, we've shared our innovations while they've kept their advanced technology from us, she said. They think we're depending on their scraps, but we've been developing our own solutions all along. Russell nodded. How long before we're ready to return? Foster smiled. That's the beauty of it, Commander. When we return, the galaxy will no longer dictate our terms. We'll dictate theirs. Outside her window, the first ships were already beginning their journey home. The age of human compromise was over. 3 months after the humans walked out of the Centauri Accords, strange reports began reaching the Galactic Council. Human trading posts were found empty. Scientific research stations were abandoned. Military outposts, once busy with activity, now floated silent in space. Loxin, the trade minister of the Helverian cluster, pounded his four-fingered hand on the council table. This is unacceptable. The humans have left without fulfilling their contracts. My people were expecting shipments of earth metals and biological materials, he complained, his orange skin darkening with anger. Ambassador Skatali of the Veldorians waved dismissively. Let them hide in their little solar system. They will return when their economy collapses without our markets. Only Science Director Iliara of the Ashari Republic looked truly concerned. The tall, slender alien with pale blue skin had worked closely with human scientists for many years. I don't think you understand, she said quietly. I've seen how humans operate when they feel challenged. They're not running away. They're planning something. Her warning went unheard as the council turned to discussing how to divide up the territories humans had abandoned. At the edges of council space, on Station Kappa 9, Greg Harris wiped down the counter of his small bar. He was one of the few humans who had chosen to stay behind. Most aliens assumed he was just stubborn or had disagreed with Earth's decision. A group of draconian soldiers entered the bar, their scaled bodies towering over the other patrons. Their commander, Lieutenant Drax, approached the counter. Human, he growled. Your drink selection is lacking today. Greg smiled politely. Supply problems, sir. No ships from Earth these days. The Draconian laughed. And no ships ever again. We've claimed your old mining station in Sector 12. Easy pickings now that your people have run away. Greg just nodded and served the drinks. When the soldiers left, he walked to the back room of his bar. Behind a hidden panel, a small communication device blinked steadily. Greg pressed his thumb against the scanner. Weekly report, he said softly. Draconians have moved into Sector 12. Their fleet seems to be stretching thin, trying to cover all the new territory they're claiming. The device recorded his message and sent it through channels no alien technology could detect. Throughout the galaxy, hundreds of humans like Greg were doing the same thing, watching, listening, reporting back to Earth. Behind the veil of a massive stealth system that covered the entire solar system, Earth was changing. The moon's dark side, once empty, now hosted massive shipyards. Mars was covered with new domes and factories. Asteroid belts were being systematically mined and processed. In her office on the orbital station above Earth, Admiral Foster reviewed the reports from observers like Greg. A holographic display showed the positions of alien fleets throughout the galaxy. They're spreading themselves thin, noted Commander Russell, who had been promoted to her chief strategist. The Draconians especially. They're trying to claim all our old territories. Foster nodded. And how is Project Eclipse proceeding? Russell smiled. The first fleet is almost ready. 300 ships with technology at least 50 years ahead of anything the Council races have. Our stealth systems are holding. They have no idea what we're building. And our people? Foster asked. Fully united. Walking away from their table brought us together like nothing before. Every nation, every colony is working toward the same goal now. Foster looked at the galaxy map, watching the alien ships move about, unaware of what was coming. They think we left the game, she said. They don't realize we've just been setting up our pieces for a different one. Russell nodded. How long before we reveal ourselves? 2 more years, Foster replied. By then, the first phase of ships will be ready. Our defenses will be impenetrable, and they'll have grown comfortable thinking they've won. Outside the window, a massive ship moved silently through space, its hull gleaming with a material that seemed to bend light around it. It was just the first of many. Earth wasn't hiding. It was evolving. 2 years passed since humans disappeared from galactic affairs. At first, most alien species barely noticed their absence. But slowly, problems began to appear across the galaxy. On the Ashari homeworld, Science Director Iliara stared in frustration at the failing quantum communication network. The system, developed with human scientists 10 years ago, had started showing errors that no one could fix. Try the bypass sequence again, she told her assistant. I've tried it 12 times, the young Ashari replied. The humans designed key parts of this system. Without their expertise, I don't think we can repair it. Elior aside, this was happening everywhere. Technologies that humans had helped create were breaking down. The galaxy had grown dependent on human problem-solving without realizing it. In the grand market of Centauri Station, a crowd gathered around a small shop. The owner, a six-armed Helverian, proudly displayed his merchandise, a genuine bottle of human whiskey. Bidding starts at 5,000 credits, he announced. The crowd gasped. Before humans left, such a bottle would cost 50 credits at most. But now, anything made by human hands, their music, art, food, had become rare treasures. Aliens who once mocked human culture now paid fortunes for it. 6,000, called out a wealthy Guldorian merchant. 7,000, countered a draconian officer. The Helverian smiled. Business was good for those who had stockpiled human products, but nothing new was coming. The supply was limited, and prices kept rising. On Station Kappa 9, Greg Harris watched as 3 injured draconian soldiers stumbled into his bar. Their scales were scorched, and one was missing an arm. "What happened to you?" Greg asked, serving them strong drinks. "Pirates," spat the lead soldier. "They hit our patrol in Sector 14. Greg wiped the counter calmly, but his ears perked up. Sector 14 had been protected by human ships for years. When humans left, the Draconians had claimed it. "I thought your empire was handling security in that region now," Greg said innocently. The Draconian growled. "We are, but these pirates have new tactics. They hit fast and disappear. We're stretched too thin trying to cover all the sectors humans abandoned." After the soldiers left, Greg sent another secret message to Earth. Piracy was increasing across former human territories. The aliens who had eagerly claimed these areas were struggling to maintain order. In a secure chamber deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Admiral Foster met with the Earth Defense Council. The room's walls displayed images from across the galaxy, gathered by observers like Greg. "The reports are clear," Foster said. "The galactic economy is showing signs of strain without our involvement. Our scientific contributions are missed more than anyone predicted." "And security?" asked Council Member Lily Chen. Commander Russell stepped forward. "Piracy has increased 340% in regions formerly patrolled by our fleets. The Draconians claim they could easily replace us, but they're failing." Foster nodded. "It's time for the next phase. Our first fleet is ready, and our observers report growing instability in the Council. They need us more than they knew." "Will we return to their table?" asked another council member. "No," Foster said firmly. "We won't return to their table. We'll invite them to ours, on our terms." She pressed a button, and the display changed to show a massive ship unlike anything ever built by human hands before. Its sleek design seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its size dwarfed even the largest council vessels. "The HFY Frontier," Foster announced. "Our ambassador to the stars." "Who will command it?" Russell asked. Foster smiled. "Captain Laura Wells. She has the perfect combination of diplomacy and strength. She'll deliver our message to the Council." "And if they refuse our terms?" Chen asked. Foster's expression hardened. "Then they'll learn that the humans they dismissed have become the power they can't afford to ignore." Outside, in the shipyards hidden on the far side of the moon, the HFY Frontier prepared for its journey. The first human ship to enter alien space in 2 years would not come begging for a seat at their table. It would offer them a seat at humanity's. The alarm sounded throughout the Veldorian border station. On the main screen, a massive unidentified vessel had appeared seemingly from nowhere. The ship was unlike anything in galactic records, sleek and powerful with a hull that seemed to bend light around it. "Where did it come from?" demanded Commander Vextal. "Why didn't our sensors detect it earlier?" "Unknown, sir," replied his officer. "It just appeared." The communications officer looked up nervously. "Sir, they're hailing us," in perfect Veldorian. Commander Vextal straightened his uniform. On screen, The image shifted to show a human woman with short brown hair and steady eyes. She wore a dark blue uniform with silver trim, unlike any human military uniform previously documented. "This is Captain Laura Wells of the Earth Space Vessel Frontier," she said calmly. "We request immediate audience with the Galactic Council." The Veldorian commander stared in shock. No human had been seen in council space for 5 years. "State your purpose," he managed to say. Wells smiled slightly. "I bring a proposition from Earth. Please inform the council we have arrived." News of the human ship spread across the galaxy faster than any official channels could control it. By the time Captain Wells' shuttle landed at the council headquarters, crowds of aliens had gathered to witness the return of humanity. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from 23 species waited nervously. Many had been present 5 years ago when Commander Russell had walked out. Ambassador Skatali leaned toward the Ashari representative. "They returned begging for readmission, no doubt. Their isolation must have crippled them." Science Director Iliara shook her head. "Did you see their ship? That technology is far beyond anything we possess." Before Skatali could respond, the doors opened. Captain Wells entered alone, wearing her blue uniform with confidence. She carried no weapons, no data pads, only a small device in her hand. "Captain Laura Wells of Earth," announced the council moderator. "You have requested this audience. The council recognizes you." Wells walked to the center of the chamber, to the exact spot where Commander Russell had stood before walking away 5 years earlier. "Esteemed representatives," she began, her voice carrying through the silent chamber. "5 years ago, humanity left this table. Today, I am not here to ask for our seat back." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Wells activated the device in her hand. A holographic display filled the air above her, showing hundreds of ships similar to the Frontier, all in formation around Earth and its colonies. "This is the first fleet of the Earth Defense Force," she explained as the council members stared in shock. "What you see represents only 20% of our current capabilities." The hologram shifted to show massive space stations, planetary shields, and technology the council races had never seen before. "Humanity doesn't need a seat at your table anymore," Wells continued, her voice calm but firm. "We've built our own, but we're willing to discuss mutual benefits as equals this time." Ambassador Skatali stood abruptly. "Is this a threat, Captain?" Wells shook her head. "No, Ambassador. If we wanted to threaten you, we wouldn't have come openly. This is an invitation to a new relationship between Earth and the galaxy." She touched the device again, and the hologram changed to show trade routes, scientific outposts, and joint defense positions. "For 5 years, you've felt our absence. Technology's failing, pirates growing bolder, trade suffering. We propose a new beginning, not as junior partners begging for scraps, but as equals offering genuine cooperation." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had not spent 5 years suffering in isolation. They had spent it growing stronger than anyone had imagined possible. "We invite a delegation to visit Earth," Wells concluded. "See what we've built. Then we can discuss the future together." As she finished speaking, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. Human ships had appeared near every major council world simultaneously. Not attacking, not threatening, simply present. A perfect demonstration of just how far humanity had advanced while no one was watching. The council ship approached Earth with a mixture of curiosity and concern. On board were representatives from 7 major galactic powers, including Ambassador Skatali of the Veldorians and Science Director Iliara of the Ashari. They expected to find a civilization that had managed to survive its isolation, perhaps even thrive in small ways. What they saw instead left them speechless. Massive orbital platforms circled Earth, each one larger than the biggest space stations in Council space. Shipyards stretched across the lunar surface, building vessels that outclassed anything in the galactic fleet. Mercury glowed with countless energy collectors, forming a partial Dyson swarm. Mars, once a red dusty planet, now shone with green and blue under habitat domes covering entire regions. "Impossible," whispered Scully, his 6 eyes wide with shock. "They couldn't have built all this in just 5 years." Their escort ship docked at Earth Station 1, a spinning wheel of metal and glass larger than any structure the Council had ever built. Chief Engineer Alan Miller, a stocky man with a gray beard, greeted the delegation at the airlock. "Welcome to Earth space," he said with a friendly smile. "I'll be your guide today." The aliens followed him through corridors filled with humans going about their daily business. None of the humans seemed particularly impressed or intimidated by the important alien visitors. In just 5 years, humans had grown accustomed to thinking of themselves as equals, or more, to any species in the galaxy. "This way to the quantum propulsion facility," Miller said, leading them into a large observation room. Below them stretched a massive chamber where engineers worked on engines that glowed with blue-white light. "This is what powers our new ships," Miller explained. "Quantum displacement drives, 300 times faster than the standard Council FTL technology." "How did you develop this?" asked Eliara, unable to hide her scientific curiosity. "Such advancement should take decades." Miller smiled. "We've always worked best with our backs against the wall. When we left the Council, every human scientist, engineer, and thinker united with a single purpose. While the other delegates marveled at the propulsion system, a draconian security officer named Krex wandered toward another viewport. What he saw made his scaled skin pale. Beyond the shipyards, defensive installations stretched into space, weapon systems, and shield generators that could easily repel any known military force. Humanity hadn't just been building ships and stations. They had been preparing for war if necessary. Krex quietly approached Scully. "Ambassador," he whispered, "they are armed far beyond what Captain Wells revealed to the Council." Scully glanced nervously at the humans nearby. "Are you suggesting they plan to attack?" "I'm suggesting they made sure they couldn't be attacked," Krex replied. "There's a difference." The tour continued to a large conference room with a view of Earth below. Admiral Foster waited for them, standing tall in her formal uniform. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "I trust Engineer Miller has shown you some of what we've accomplished." "It's remarkable," admitted Scully. "But why reveal all this to us now?" Foster gestured for them to sit. "Because the galaxy faces challenges that concern us all. Piracy in the outer sectors, resource depletion in the Orion Arm, the mysterious signals from beyond the galactic barrier." The aliens exchanged surprised looks. They had thought humans had simply been hiding, licking their wounds. Instead, they had been watching, learning, preparing. "We left your table because we weren't respected," Foster continued. "Now we invite you to join us in building a better future, as genuine partners this time." Science Director Eliara leaned forward. "And if we refuse?" Foster's expression remained pleasant, but her eyes hardened slightly. "Then humanity will continue alone. We've proven we can. But the challenges ahead would be better faced together." The message was clear. Humanity wasn't asking for permission anymore. They were offering cooperation, but they no longer needed it. The galaxy could join them as equals, or watch as humans charted their own path forward. The choice was theirs, but the terms were humanity's. Not everyone in the galaxy accepted humanity's new position. The Draconians had built their empire on military strength, and the idea of humans suddenly outclassing them was unacceptable to Warlord Kresh. In his war chamber on the Draconian homeworld, Kresh slammed his scaled fist on the table. "These humans are bluffing. Their ships may look impressive, but they cannot have advanced so far in just 5 years." His generals shifted uncomfortably. One of them, General Zorax, dared to speak. The Council delegation confirmed their technology. "Perhaps we should consider." "Consider what?" Kresh snapped, bowing to humans. "Never. We will expose their weakness for all to see." He pointed to a map showing human outposts. "Here, In the Ta-CD system, the humans have established a small research station. We will seize it and prove these humans are not as powerful as they claim. On the research station horizon in the Ta-CD system, Dr. Sam Green and his team of 12 scientists were studying unusual radiation patterns. The station was small, just 3 connected modules orbiting the second planet. The alarm sounded suddenly, and Dr. Green hurried to the command center. "What's happening?" he asked. The security officer looked up from his screen. "Draconian warships, sir. 8 of them, approaching fast." Dr. Green's face paled. "Contact Earth immediately." The officer shook his head. "They're jamming our communications." Outside the station's viewports, the Draconian ships appeared, massive vessels covered in weapon ports, arranged in attack formation. "This is General Zorax of the Draconian Empire," came a harsh voice over the comms. "Your station is now under Draconian control. Surrender or be destroyed." Dr. Green looked at his small team. They were scientists, not soldiers. The station had minimal defenses. "We surrender," he said. "We are a research team. We have no military capabilities." The Draconian ships moved closer. Their soldiers prepared to board the station. Suddenly, space seemed to ripple near the edge of the system. 3 sleek, angular vessels appeared, human ships moving with impossible speed. They were smaller than the Draconian warships but glowed with energy that the Draconians had never seen before. Admiral Kate Perry sat in the command chair of the lead ship, the EDF Reliant. Her expression was calm as she studied the tactical display. "Open a channel to the Draconian vessels," she ordered. On the screen, General Zorax appeared, trying to hide his surprise. "This is a lawful military action against a station in disputed space." Admiral Perry shook her head. "This station is in human territory, conducting peaceful research. You have 30 seconds to withdraw." The Draconian general laughed. "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Perhaps you've forgotten how real warfare works during your isolation." 20 seconds, Perry replied calmly. On the Draconian flagship, General Zorax turned to his weapons officer. "Target their lead ship. Full power." The Draconian vessels fired, energy beams streaking toward the human ships. But the beams seemed to bend around the human vessels, never touching them. "Time's up," said Admiral Perry. She pressed a button on her chair. Non-lethal response authorized. The 3 human ships moved with sudden acceleration that seemed impossible for their size. They darted between the Draconian vessels, releasing pulses of blue energy. On the Draconian ships, systems began shutting down. Engines failed. Weapons went offline. Life support remained functional, but nothing else worked. Within minutes, all 8 Draconian warships floated helplessly in space. Not a single shot from the human vessels had actually hit the Draconians. They hadn't needed to. Admiral Perry opened the channel again. "General Zorax, your ships have been disabled, not destroyed. We could have vaporized your entire fleet, but that's not how we operate." She leaned forward, her voice hardening. "Take this message to Warlord Kresh. We left your table, but we still follow rules of our own making. Attack us again, and restraint won't be on the menu." As Perry's ships prepared to escort the disabled Draconian vessels to the border, she sent a separate message to Earth. "Draconian threat neutralized. No casualties on either side." News of the encounter spread rapidly through the galaxy. Species that had once dismissed humans now scrambled to establish new diplomatic channels. The message was clear. Humanity would defend itself, and they had the power to do so with ease. 10 years after walking away from the council table, humanity hosted the first summit of sovereign species. The massive space station Liberty Point, orbiting where Pluto once was, welcomed representatives from 27 civilizations. Liberty Point itself was a marvel of engineering, a gleaming wheel of metal and crystal with 5 enormous spokes extending from a central hub. Pluto had been dismantled years ago, its mass repurposed to build this symbol of humanity's new vision for the galaxy. Inside the grand meeting hall, President Ryan Cooper stood at the center podium. At 56, he had gray streaks in his dark hair and lines around his eyes, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. The hall fell silent as he began to speak. "Welcome to Liberty Point," he said, his voice calm and clear. "A decade ago, humanity left the Galactic Council table because we were not treated as equals. Today, we invite you all to join us at a new table, one where every species stands on equal ground." The alien representatives listened carefully. Many species that once looked down on humans now competed for their favor. The Veldorians, who had dismissed humans as primitive, had sent their highest-ranking diplomat along with cultural experts who had studied human customs for years. "Earth offers access to our technological innovations," Cooper continued, "but only to species that recognize full sovereignty rights for all intelligent civilizations, regardless of how long they have been spacefaring." He gestured to a holographic display showing the new framework for galactic cooperation. Trade routes that benefited all participants, scientific exchanges based on mutual respect, defense agreements that protected smaller species from larger ones. "This is not the old council with a new name," Cooper explained. "This is a genuine partnership. All members have equal voting rights. All members have access to the same technologies. All members share in both the benefits and responsibilities." In the audience, Science Director Iliara of the Ashari Republic nodded in approval. She had been the first to recognize humanity's potential years ago. Now, her people were forming the first true human-alien collaborative research initiative. Ambassador Skatali of the Veldorians shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His people had been among those who had dismissed humans most strongly. Now they found themselves in the unusual position of trying to prove their worthiness to join humanity's new alliance. After the main presentation, the dignitaries moved to a reception area with a spectacular view of the solar system. Liberty Point's position allowed views of Neptune's blue clouds, the rings of Saturn, and Jupiter's great storm. Ambassador Lisa Morgan, Earth's new diplomatic chief, stood with Commander John Russell, now her senior advisor. They watched as humans and aliens mingled as genuine equals for the first time. "Did we need to leave to earn their respect?" Morgan asked quietly. Russell watched a Veldorian diplomat eagerly discussing trade possibilities with a human representative. The same species that had suggested humans should be grateful for the privilege of participation now worked hard to impress their human counterparts. "No," Russell replied. "We needed to leave to remember our own worth. Their respect was just a consequence." Beyond the window, a new class of human ships prepared for launch. Unlike the defensive vessels built during humanity's isolation, these were exploration ships, massive, elegant vessels designed to travel beyond the galaxy's known boundaries. "What's next for us?" Morgan asked, watching the ships. Russell smiled. "We've spent 10 years showing the galaxy we don't need their table. Now we'll spend the next 10 showing them what we can build together, if they're willing to follow our lead." As the summit continued, agreements were signed, partnerships formed, and a new era began. The species that once looked down on humanity now followed their example. The humans who had left the table in silence had returned to lead the conversation, and the galaxy would never be the same.